you want to give us some understanding into the business of e-commerce trading. What is it about, and how did you start off on this path? What inspired you? What prompted you to start off in this line of business? Give us some understanding into that.
Okay, thank you for having me here. My name is Olakpeju Uma once again. I'm the founder of My Food Angels. My Food Angels typically moves food from the farms and the markets and distributes to consumers. Now, the reason why I started this business was basically because of the cost of food items. Everyone would agree with me that for every time you go to the market, there seems to be a new price of your items, and they never just seem to go down. And so that prompted me to go into this space to see how we can bridge that gap and ensure that on one end, the customers are having good prices for their products, and on the other end, the farmers are receiving better returns on their investments. So we started back then and wanted to, fill this gap. What we eventually found out that it was much more than how we started. We needed to do much more. So we literally started with just going to the markets to buy products and give to the customers. That brought down the cost of the items for the customers just by maybe 5%. But we wanted to do more. And so we decided to start going back to the farms to see how we can give seed to the sower, literally, so that they can give us more input, better yielding seeds, and then give us better outputs, which would eventually bring down the cost of food items for our customers. So when we started, it was literally not an e-commerce space when we started. It was more of a social commerce space. But we gradually migrated to e-commerce, and now we're much more than e-commerce. We're actually a multi-channel platform. So you can either buy from our e-commerce space or use our social media platform or whatever. So that was the reason why we went into the space. And yes, we've been at it for over 5 years now, looking to do more within the sector.
Interesting, interesting. I would also like for you to, for someone looking to get into this line of business, what does it entail? How do you start off? What do you need? What are the requirements, in starting off? Because being the middleman between the producers, that's the farmers, and the consumers of this product, how does it happen? How do you reach out to farmers who intend to sell? Because most of these farmers are even in the rural parts of the country. So how do you source for them? How do you bring them, into this space and link them up with the consumers? I mean, how do you go about this business exactly?
So basically, in order to start, if one doesn't want to go the route I went, you literally want to look for associations where these farmers are clustered. Also do your due diligence in terms of the persona of the farmers. When you're going into this kind of space, you want to ensure that you have farmers of integrity that you're working with. You want to also ensure that the farmers actually know their onions, even though you will be partnering with them to educate them on best practices and what your own consumers prefer, their own preference, and how you can literally give them the seed to plant those things that your consumers prefer. So bottom line is you have to check for clusters where those farmers are situated. Now you can get all this information online, and of course a lot of agri intervention programs that you can actually use to trace farmers. Also, even going to as rudimentary as even our markets, because when you go to the market, places like Mile 12, for instance, you actually see farmers coming to sell their wares. I mean, that may be a good place to start before you now go into your proper due diligence to ensuring that you're getting the best farmers rightly suited for your customers.
Amazing, amazing. So, Peju, what would you say is one of the greatest challenges you've encountered since starting off this business? I know it's a very lucrative business because you said you've made up to 20 million naira in a year and a half. That is some lucrative business. I would even want to go into it myself. But okay, but what would you say is one of the greatest challenges you've had in the course of this business, and how have you been able to overcome such challenges?
Okay. Well, the 20 million was in our first year. First of all, it was the revenue we made in our first year. But then, the challenges that exist in this sector basically is the fact that any form of investment that is coming into the sector has to be a patient capital. We need to get to the point where people who are interested in investing in this sector are actually willing to let their money grow in an arithmetic progression before we get to that massive exponential projection. So what we see is that because tech is the new rave and everyone is going tech, even our own sector is going tech. We see that people want to literally have quick returns. But with the agri space, especially with the Nigerian agricultural space, you need patient capital. Now, it is highly capital intensive. When we talk about from the farms, from planning of the planting up until consumption, there are a lot of moving parts. And with this moving parts comes a lot of high demand on capital. And so for this space, the major challenge has been how to bridge the gap between where we see we want to go, properly mechanized farming and products that are readily acceptable even in the international space. Now you want to bridge that gap where you want to go between where you are here, where you are right now, and how you do that is to attract the right form of investment. And that investment can only be patient investment. It cannot be get rich quick scheme. It cannot be all those other types of funding that we've seen that has literally a lot of people. But you want to ensure that aside from the investment also, you want to ensure that throughout the agri value chain, there is proper education for the farmers, for the consumers, for the investors. Every stakeholder is properly educated within the sector. And so those are the big gaps that we've seen operating within the sector. And we are actually hopeful that much more will be done.
I'm actually glad you mentioned investment because that is one of the issues we are supposed to be discussing today. Now, talking about investment, how does one get to invest in this sector? What are the requirements? How does one go about investing in the agricultural sector with regards to this exact aspect of it, which is e-commerce? How does one invest in it?
Now, when you're talking investments in agri sector, before you can decide that you want to just jump and go into investing in agri, you need to do your market analysis. You need to ensure that you understand what you're going into. And so things like evaluating all the different factors that contribute to Nigeria's agri space are properly evaluated. You want to ensure that you're able to. So, for instance, within the sector, we know that you can't literally easily predict pricing, but you can actually study the trends in which these prices have gone. What we've done in My Food Angels is because we have gathered some data over the years, we're able to predict when items, for instance, are supposed to crash in price. And that makes our customers even stand a better chance of enjoying better prices. Now, anyone who wants to come into this space has to understand that you need to involve different stakeholders before you can even decide to invest in the agri space in Nigeria. Nigeria is a very volatile economy. That's the truth. So a policy today can favor your investment, and another day it seems like all the investments you put into it has gone down the drain. So you want to ensure that from listening to government policies, currently now the government has declared a state of emergency on food in Nigeria. So how do you stand to position yourself to ensure that you are at an advantage as an investor? So you need to consider the various levels, the various channels before you can decide to go into investing in agri in Nigeria.
Amazing, amazing. So Pedro, you spoke on market trends. Now, my next question is in line with that. How does one discern the current and emerging trends in the agricultural market and use that knowledge to enable investors align their strategies with prevailing consumer preferences? How do you weigh this?
So, in being able to, discern the current trends, you literally have to ensure that your market research is on point. Now, you cannot just do market research without studying reports and articles and what have you. Now, in the agri space, of course, agri is very, very vast. So you have livestock, you have crops and all of that. You need to look for the niche that you want to actually focus on. And then there are different federal government parastatals that write reports, that write articles. Follow those. Then also you have to conduct a survey on the consumers. Now, one of the things we love to do in my food agency that we love to take some surveys. Now, for survey, it helps you to know even where your potential customers, are focusing on. Now, because you have conducted survey, you are able to know, oh, this is actually where more of the demand is coming from. This is where I focus my energies on as an investor in the agri space. Of course, then again, when you have to ensure that you're discerning this current trends properly, you're actually also thinking of visiting the local market and farms. So we cannot literally sit in our homes and in front of the computer and expect that we can get all the data we need for a better judgment or in decision making. So visiting the local market will give you better insights on how these items are being moved, how the demand is even in the market, and of course at the farms, you're able to see firsthand what it entails, and then what even the farmers are being demanded to supply. And so that helps you to give you an informed decision to know where you should focus your energies on as an investor.
Amazing, amazing. I want you to expand on that, talking about the demand and supply dynamics. What exactly should investors be looking out for? How do they make that informed decision, with regards to the kind of livestock or the kind of farm products to invest in? How do they go about, having that idea, having that knowledge on the exact crops that are high in demand, to go for?
So before you can decide to pick a side on where to even invest, you need to literally evaluate the climate conditions. Let me put it this way. So we just got a funding recently from Grooming Endowment Trust, and we're supposed to put that as an impact fund, to affect our direct speaking budget. Now, we're currently farming. I mean, we got some farmers to farm for us, definitely. But yeah, we're currently farming. And before we're able to do that, we have to consider two different things. For the climate, how are we sure that, because I mean we have farmers here in the West, but which kind of locality would give us the best yield, especially because of this particular season that we're in. So we're expected to go into the dry season. And so we're looking at dry season farming. And for dry season farming, we later found out, even from the farmers themselves, there was a farmer that we spoke with here in the South that literally told us that for dry season farming, it's better we go up north. Now we had to go up north. And so, I mean, our seedlings are already bursting with life. We're seeing tremendous increase in growth of the seedlings. This decision was, we had to come to this decision because we had to involve the stakeholders. They actually told us where and where not to farm. So when you're considering going into this, you need to literally study the what climate really works for what type of product I want to go into. Of course, then again, you have to diversify your portfolio, because the truth of matter is, today tomatoes is in season, tomorrow it's yam or something. You need to get to the point where, whether in season or out of season, your money is working for you and you're able to get better return on investment. Do not focus on one. When you focus on one, well, even if you're focusing on one, you need to understand the trend and the dynamics even for that one. Because okay, so Dele Alake actually mentioned recently in July that Nigeria has to move from the stage of seasonal farming to an all year round farming. So if you're picking just tomatoes and you want to focus on just tomatoes farming, you want to ensure that even in that tomatoes farming all year round, you're making better return on investment. And this, like I said, involves stakeholders involvement. You can't literally do it on your own. You have to involve the farmers, the financial organizations that are going to be funding you on that project, and a lot of others.
All right. Now let's look at customer behavior. Does that factor play any role in influencing the kind of investment, the kind of farm product, or farm produce to invest in? Do you think that is a factor?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, the customers, they are the ones that control the demand. And for every demand, there's got to be a supply. If not, there will be shortages. And that's what happens a lot of times. So, I mean, the customer behavior, today, the customer, okay, so let me give you an example. When we started out, we were very crude in the way we were doing things. And so we had customers that really wanted what's it called, just go to the market, and the needs and the grit of just going to the market, and they literally connected with that. But then came tech, and then came tech, and we literally saw our customers, the same set of customers, move from getting this product, all raw and all of that. They literally have moved now to the point of, I want it packaged, I want it looking clean and all of that. We had to pivot. We had to ensure that our solutions are still tailored around what the customer wants. And so if you're studying the customer behavior, it helps you to position better when it comes to getting better return on an investment. Customer literally dictates the market. They dictate even what the farmer plants. We currently started off taking greenhouse tomatoes. And I'll tell you that we now have a crop of customers who do not even want the open field tomatoes anymore. All they want is the greenhouse tomatoes. And if there's no greenhouse tomatoes, they would rather wait until we get greenhouse tomatoes for them. And these were customers that never knew what greenhouse tomatoes were before we started supplying them. And so we see the beauty of even introducing new products to the customer, trying to test the market with that. And watching their own reaction and then using that to tailor make our own solutions for them. And so you literally have to be a customer-centric investor or even player within the sector to be able to give your customers exactly what they need at every point in time.
Yeah, Pedro, you mentioned the innovation of tech, in the agricultural space. Now, how has technology impacted your business? And what technological tools do you utilize, in bringing this farmers, to a point with the consumers? How do you bring them together? What technological tools do you adopt, or strategies, so to speak, do you adopt to ensure that your business, continues?
Okay, so we have a web app currently. We have a web app where our customers are able to place their orders. In determining the data also, we have data analysis tools that we use. Then for the farmers, we're currently building a WhatsApp bot that would literally help both farmer on the farmer end and on the consumer end. We're building a chat bot for that. And so basically tech has literally helped our business to evolve. Like I said before, it was a crude way of doing things. We were sourcing and, we're just collecting orders on WhatsApp and on Instagram and everything. And that limited us to the number of orders we could even take per time. But with this platform which we have, the web app, we see that we're able to take orders even while we're sleeping. And that's the beauty of technology. You need to be able to scale beyond what you were doing before. And so technology has helped us to scale. Technology is helping us to scale even further, because our chatbot, which we're currently building, is now going to be able to even answer customers that still want to come on WhatsApp. Like I said, we're a multi-channel and an omni-channel platform. So we see that customers are able to even chat with the bot without the intervention of a human being until maybe it's really needed. So tech really is definitely here to stay. And we just need to keep adapting to it.
Amazing. Now, we know that most of the farmers here in Nigeria are from the rural part, and there are people who most times don't understand how to go about this technological aspect of going on the website to place your order or to drop anything. These people are crude. They are in the rural part. They don't even have phones. So, and these are the producers of most of our farm products. So how do you reach out to these people? Do you go there physically to sensitize them, or talk to them about your business, or how do you go about it? Because I know many Nigerians are not on social media and don't even know how to operate. Those who actually farm, are people who really don't understand how to go about the use of social media and websites or technology generally. So how do you sensitize them? How do you get them on board and do business with them?
Okay, so, in building these solutions, you need to, first of all, start with things that do not scale and then evolve to things that scale. So things that do not scale is how we started with the farmers. I'm talking how we were able to get agents to liaise with the farmers themselves directly. So the agents liaise with the farmers, and then from liaising with the farmers, they're telling the farmers what our customers want and the demand that we have, to the point where we're now considering building this short SMS, codes for the farmers that, hey, Star Hash, one thing, you're able to know what we need. And, yes, a lot of them are in the rural sector, but yes, a lot of them actually have phones. They might not be the smartphones, but they have phones. And that's how also getting an intermediary for those who truly are not tech savvy or don't even have phones at all. Then there's an intermediary. So we're doing things that do not scale to be able to get us to the point where we are able to scale that particular part of the business.
This business is very, very interesting and it's playing a very crucial role in the agri chain. But how would you rate yourself? Would you say you are a top player in this industry or a middle player? And how do you handle competition? How do you handle competition in order to stay relevant in this industry?
My Food Angels has been here for the past 5 years. And this was before COVID. So COVID brought a lot of players into this section. But we had been here before COVID. So yes, I would say we're top players within the sector. Can we do more? Of course, yes, we can do more. And that's why we're currently going around and having conversations to create visibility. When we are, when we started, like I said, there were just a few players within the sector. Now, getting people to come into the sector also is key, because you cannot have a monopoly, so to speak, of the sector. There's so many things involved. And so My Food Angels has evolved from competition to collaboration. There has to be, everyone has to come together. I don't know if the cost of food items is fine for everyone, then maybe there can be competition. But the truth of the matter is, everyone within this Nigerian space is feeling the heat when it comes to high cost of food. So we're not competing. It's not a game of competition right now. It's a game of collaboration. And so that's why we see within the sector, My Food Angels supplies other businesses that actually aggregate. We supply them so that they also can move these things to the consumer and give them at a rock bottom price. So you may not see that work happening in the forefront, but in the back end, My Food Angels has actually been an engine for a lot of other businesses, which you see in the forefront that are propelling the gospel, for the food industry. And so there are competition, yes, but it's much more than competition. It's actually collaboration that we need. And so that's the message I preach. I don't see competition. I actually see collaboration. I see opportunities for collaboration with every competition that is out there.